Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series preview show right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, consider going down below to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. On today's Cup preview show, we are looking ahead to today's Cup Series of Folds of Honor QuikTrip 500 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The first race of the new 2019 Aero package, although this isn't the full Aero package. This isn't exactly what we're going to get for most races this season. That will debut next week at Las Vegas. This is more or less the same package, but not completely. The air ducts on the nose of the car are going to be used for a slightly different purpose this week. That being said, it is relatively the same package, and the racing relatively will be very similar to what we will see for the rest of the season. So we're going to start off here looking at the starting lineup, get some thoughts from the pole winner. We're going to look at final practice times to see maybe who is fast in this race, and then we're going to predict a winner for the Folds of Honor QuikTrip 500. So let's jump right into it. And we're going to start, like I said, with the starting lineup that was determined Friday evening. Aric Almirola on the pole for this one. Not a huge shock, as he was second fastest in first practice on Friday, which was more or less the qualifying practice. He was very fast. I think his teammate Clint Bowyer was a little faster than him, but Bowyer and Austin Dillon had a little bit of an incident coming off of pit road that slowed down Bowyer, I think, just a bit. And I think that's why Bowyer didn't quite get the lap that he probably should have. But Aric Almirola, much quicker than the rest of the field, almost 2/10 quicker than Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who's on the outside pole this week in the Little Hugs Ford. Clint Bowyer, though, does start in the third position inside of row number 2. He was only 0.003 of a second off of Ricky Stenhouse for the outside pole. But nonetheless, 3 Fords starting up front in this race. The Mustangs do seem to be pretty strong here to start the season. They don't seem to be having the problems that the Camaro had for most of last season when Chevy debuted that. Daytona 500 winner Denny Hamlin will start from the 4th position. Row 5 consists of Daniel Suarez and Kyle Busch. Kyle Larson and Kurt Busch there in row number 4, 7th, and 8th. Martin Truex Jr. and Austin Dillon rounding out the top 10 from qualifying. As we look through the rest of the starting lineup, some other notables here that you might notice. Jimmy Johnson starting from the 11th position. William Byron, your Daytona 500 pole winner, rolls off from the 17th position. Kevin Harvick, he'll start in the 18th position, the defending winner of this race, a guy that we know is very good at this track, but hasn't really shown a lot of speed thus far this weekend. I'm curious to see what he can do in the race, because I haven't seen a lot of speed out of that car just yet. Brad Keselowski will roll off from the 19th position. Matt DiBenedetto down here in 20th. Chase Elliott will roll off from the 22nd position. Ryan Blaney down here in 26th. Joey Logano, not with the greatest starting position. He'll roll off from 27th. Daniel Hemrick in 28th. Bubba Wallace will start from the 29th position. And then back here, we'll scroll through the final page as well. Garrett Smithley will be in the 77 car for Spire Motorsports this week. Not sure if he will fill out all of the races that Quinn Houff is not going to run in that car, or if it will be other drivers as well filling out those races. Haven't really heard either way. But either way, Garrett Smithley is in the car this week for Spire Motorsports. All right. So that's your starting lineup for the Folds of Honor QuikTrip 500. Let's head over to the Media Center, and we will see what Aric Almirola had to say about that lap he put down in qualifying.
Sneaky. We knew our car had a lot of raw speed in it, and through the rounds, the adjustments that Johnny was making kept making our car a little bit better. I think we ran an 84, and then we ran a 75 in round 2, but we were getting it done on lap 1. And in the first round, there was a little bit of confusion leaving pit road, so I feel like that might have cost us a little bit. But then that final round, just really good execution by the whole team the changes that the engineers and Johnny made to the car, and just honestly the car that the guys brought. We had a really good car right off the truck. We were second in practice, and just kind of carried that speed through qualifying, and then that final round, knew that a second lap was going to be faster than the first. So, in that first lap, kind of decided to throw that lap away and work on building the speed up. And then that second lap just really executed and hit all my marks perfectly, and I was able to be good enough in a really fast lap to get the pole, which is really cool because I haven't done it in like 7 years. So that was pretty neat.
Well, that was another point because Clint hadn't had one since 2007, and so
yeah, good. I finally got something on Clint.
All right, so let's take a look at practice number 2 results. That was the final practice for the weekend. That was your race practice. That'll give us an idea who is fastest here in race trim at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And not surprising, Clint Boyer topped this practice as well with a time of 30.95, 479.104 miles per hour. Kyle Busch not far behind, though, about 0.04 off of Clint Boyer's time. Austin Dillon also very quick up here as well. And then I think the real surprises in the top 5 are Michael McDowell in 4th and Corey LaJoie, 5th fastest in that Go Fast Racing number 32 car. And yes, the face car is back this week. He has Old Spice sponsorship again this week, and the face car is back. So he was out pretty early at Daytona with that tire issue. Looks like not only is he bringing the paint scheme back this week, but he's brought some speed to Atlanta Motor Speedway. So that is very interesting, and I'll be interested to see what Corey LaJoie can do in this race. Kurt Busch, Joey Logano, Daniel Hemrick, Ryan Newman, Martin Truex Jr. also posting top 10 quick times in this practice session, so all of them pretty quick here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Ryan Newman, I think, is a little bit of a surprise for me as well here in 9th. I don't know that I really expected him to be super fast outside of Daytona in that 6 car. I mean, it's a Roush Fenway car. Newman hasn't really performed all that well in recent years in that Childress car, and he didn't even perform all that well in his later years at Stewart-Haas. So I wasn't really expecting much out of Newman in this 6 car, but he seems to have brought some speed. And he's actually faster than Ricky Stenhouse. Stenhouse down here 20th fastest on the board, even though he'll be starting from the 2nd position. So, Newman might be able to do something in that 6 car. Ryan Blaney down here 12th fastest. Aric Almirola, your pole sitter, 13th fastest. Some other notables down through here. Kevin Harvick, your defending winner of this race, 21st fastest at a 31.334. Now, that's only about 0.4 off of the fastest time by Clint Boyer. So it's not a lot off, but it is a decent amount off. I'm not really sure what's going on with Kevin Harvick this weekend because they seem to be completely the opposite of what they were last year at this race. I don't know if it's the aero package or what exactly it is, but Kevin Harvick just doesn't really seem to have the speed that he had last year at this track. The other interesting thing to note down here is Austin Cindric actually practiced the 2 car in place of Brad Keselowski in this practice session. Keselowski a little bit under the weather yesterday, so Austin Cindric jumped in the car before the Xfinity race and logged some laps so the 2 crew could shake down that car, make sure it was okay in race trim. He wasn't super fast, though. I don't know if it was the car or if it was Austin, but pretty far off here. 28th on the board for Austin Cindric in the 2 car, 31.427, about a half second off of Clint Boyer. Chase Elliott also way down there as well, though. He's right behind Austin Cindric in 29th. So definitely some guys you wouldn't expect to see at the top of this list, and there's definitely some guys that you wouldn't expect to see at the bottom of the list as well. And I'm not sure if that's due to the aero package or if this is just a weird weekend. I really don't know. This weekend's kind of throwing me for a loop. We're seeing some things I don't think we expected to see, but I think we expected to see the unexpected with this aero package. So, I mean, it could just be the aero package. I'm not really sure what exactly the deal here is, because like I said, we've got Michael McDowell and Corey LaJoie in the top 5 in practice. They have speed. But then you've got Chase Elliott down here in 29th, who doesn't seem to have any speed. Jimmy Johnson's down in 27th. There's some guys that you would expect to have speed that don't have speed, and there's guys you wouldn't expect to have speed that have speed here at Atlanta. So predicting a winner here might be a little difficult. But that being said, there is one guy that has topped both practice sessions and probably should have had the pole had he not had his little incident with Austin Dillon coming off a pit road in the final stage of qualifying. I'm going to go with Clint Bowyer for this race. Clint Bowyer has been extremely fast ever since they unloaded this weekend. I think it's hard to pick against the 14 car this weekend. Clint Bowyer, for some reason, has just been super fast this weekend, and I think it's going to be hard to beat him in this race. The race itself, though, I think is going to be a little interesting. I'm intrigued to see exactly what happens here, because like we said at the beginning of this episode, this isn't the full-on new aero package that we're going to see for most of this season. It is slightly different, which means the racing is not going to be exactly what we're going to see for the rest of the season. But from what I've seen in both practice sessions so far this weekend, I think it's going to be very similar. It does look very similar to what we saw in the Vegas test. Like I said, it's not exactly the same, but I think that's mostly because this is Atlanta. And with Atlanta having such a rough surface, being that it's been so long since the repave happened here, there's so many bumps, the surface is so rough. Even with the downgraded horsepower and the upgraded aerodynamics, once you get just a few laps into the tire fall off, you're going to have to start lifting. But that is the thing. There are going to be a few laps at the beginning of each run where this is going to be wide open, and it is going to be very similar to a Daytona Talladega style pack race. That is what we're seeing here. Here at Atlanta, though, that's not going to last very long because of the tire fall off. We're going to get guys starting to spread out here fairly quickly into the run. I would expect no more than 10 laps into a run that we're starting to get enough tire fall off that guys are lifting and the pack starts to spread out a little bit. But a lot of these guys, I'd like to see Corey LaJoie have a really good run here. Go Fast has not put up the greatest results here. It's really good to see them 5th fastest on this practice sheet. I don't expect Corey LaJoie to win this race, but the practice or the speed they showed in that second practice session, I am hopeful that Corey LaJoie can put up a really good finish in this race. I'd just like to see that face car get a good finish. I'd like to see that running up front. That would be really cool. But I believe that's all we got for you here on this Cup Series preview show. We've got an Xfinity Rewind and a Trucks Rewind coming up for you here in just a little bit. They're coming up here later this morning, early afternoon. Both of them should be out by the time the Cup race starts at 2 p.m. Just getting a little work done on them, trying to get winter interviews lined up, getting highlights and that kind of thing. So just putting the final touches on those, and those should be up here fairly soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Those should be up fairly quickly here after this premieres. So let us know here in the live chat, if you're watching this live, who do you think is going to win today from Atlanta? If you're not watching it live on the premiere, let us know down in the comments who's going to win today's Cup Series race from Atlanta. I'd love to hear your predictions. Do you agree with me on Clint Bowyer? Do you disagree? Do you think it's going to be somebody else? I would love to hear it either in the live chat if you're watching the premiere, or down in the comments if you're watching this later. But I believe that'll do it for us on this Cup Series preview show. If you haven't done it already, you need to go down below, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing going forward from RNN. And while you're down there, why don't you hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video? It is much appreciated when you do that, and it helps us out so much when you do it. But at that, this has been the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series preview show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.